Thanks, Cindy. Calling the meeting to order at 10 o'clock. Again, this is the Ayer Affordable Housing Committee meeting on Friday, February 11th at 10 o'clock. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from requirement that meetings be held in public places open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberation through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom meeting ID number 818-0509-7403 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Alicia Hershey at ahershey@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 142 prior to the meeting. Thank you, everybody. It's a nice sunshiny day here and it's supposed to hit 50. So let's get this meeting going so we can go ahead and get outside and go for our walks. Unless, Ken, you've already gone for yours.
Not yet. Soon.
Oh, but thank you very much for showing up. Hope everything's going well with Ron. More than likely he's got some showings or whatever. So, all right.
Yes, I spoke with him and he does.
Yeah, it's getting to be springtime. So, all right. And general business, we've got to approve the agenda. Does anybody have anything extra that they want to add or corrections that they see on the agenda?
Seeing none, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
All right, James.
Second.
Ken seconds, and do the roll call. Ken?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Chair says aye, so it's voted unanimous and the agenda stands. All right, and then we have next is to approve the meeting of the joint meeting that we had on January 12th, 2022. I did not see any corrections or anything else like that. There's a lot of typing because joint meetings are more difficult. Does anybody else have any type of corrections, edits, or?
I was good with it.
Okay.
No, it looks good to me. Well, I make a motion that the minutes be approved as written.
All right, James made the motion.
Second.
10 seconds. All right, let's do the roll call. Ken?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
And the chair says aye, so it's been voted unanimously. Excellent. So, and I'll open it up now if there's anybody here from the public has any comments or questions. I don't see anybody on the additional participants. As always, when you review this on Channel 8 or on the internet, if you do have any questions, please give a call to Alicia and we'll be able to follow up with you. We are open for any type of feedback, as you are well aware. So again, we are open for feedback. Just give a call over to Alicia, 978-772-8220, extension 142, or give us an email. So thank you very much. Next on the item is the tax title properties. I know that I sent it out a while ago of the listing. I don't know if everybody still has it available to look at. I thought that I had, I'll be honest with you, I thought that I had sent one that I was editing to reduce some of, just some of the text and everything, but the one that I sent you all had all the different background information of who the owners are and what the designation is. Do I need to bring it up and share it as a screen?
Well, if you can, it'll be nice.
Cindy, do I have, can I share? All right. Let me see if I can get back in touch with Cindy. Right now, I don't have, she didn't make me a host.
Let's see.
I'm here. I just couldn't find my screen.
Oh, no problem.
Let me just check. I think I turned, yeah, you're all set.
All right, thank you very much.
And I forgot to make you a co-host, sorry.
That's all right. Hold on. Do I need to do something or do I just need to be patient?
Just hit that screen sharing button.
Oh, there it is now. All right, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me just reduce that. Can you see the spreadsheet?
Yes.
All right, so again, Ken, you asked a great question with regards to, what type, or beforehand, you asked a great question of what type of properties, what size properties would be looking at. And being the Affordable Housing Committee, would be looking for properties that would be able to use to either purchase or, for the town to purchase or another agency such as Habitat for Humanity to go ahead and work with them. So it has to be something that is of good size to build a house or a house that's already in existence that would be able to be renovated and such. And we'll go over that later on in new business. But I highlighted the items that are either now house on property or, residential. You've got residential land and such. Some of them are in estate, like the property that's on Coolidge Road, Harding Bushes Estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and such. So these are things that, again, if they owe back taxes, then more than likely, the family is still trying to settle the dust. So with that, one of the properties here that I believe Alicia, you and Alan have been interested in is the 42 Park Street. That's the old red building by, I call it Clean It Laundry, but I don't know what the new name is. Do you want to give us a little bit of information about that, of that property?
It looks like he bought it with a tax bill outstanding on it. Actually, Alan and I looked a little bit at it. Do you remember, Alan, what?
I don't remember the disposition of it now. But
Yeah, at one point, how many years ago was it that he came in looking for historic money?
he did. It was probably 2 years ago. He approached us in the Historic Commission. He said he would like to try to save the house and renovate it for residential use. And he said to us, because if I don't, it's falling apart, I'm just going to demolish it or sell it. But he owns, the motorcycle shop in the back there. This is Fran.
Oh,
And so that property is somehow connected with this. But then you have the large, old dry cleaners building there in the middle of it. And the only other thing, I'd be careful there, I believe there's a lot of environmental contamination behind that big old dry cleaners building. That building was built in 1914, the dry cleaners building. The house you're talking about was erected in 1824. And it is the historic Park House. We did go through that house. It's all original, very low ceilings, low beams. It might be a tricky one to rehab for modern living. I'll leave it that way. But the thing is still solid structurally, which is amazing. And I believe it's mostly a wood peg house. It's all timber frame. It's the real thing. It's amazing it's still standing.
So he really wanted to save it for historic purposes. I don't know if it's a housing thing, but it definitely is something that the town could take a look at as far as keeping it. I mean, everything from historic, saving it, as a historic preservation house, maybe even a town museum. I don't know what you would do with it, but it is something to, and he would work with someone on that too. He would like to see it
And
saved.
he'll let you tour it anytime you want. I could set that up if you guys want to do a walkthrough. He's always said anytime.
Did you guys want to go walk through it?
I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and also talk with George Bacon. And I'm trying to remember who the chair is of the historic.
George was there. George, we walked with George and Barry and Ruth 2 years ago.
Okay,
I didn't walk through it. That was more a historic thing because at that point it was a discussion on historic. And I think the real problem is the whole property needs 21E
Right.
to find out how serious this is. I mean, this might be a deep pockets project, but it is a project that possibly could be done by the town for something, a community center in the front, if there's room for, you know, housing in the back or something else in the back, but it's a pretty darn big project. And if it's something you guys want to start, I guess the first place would be to tour it.
mhm.
And I do have, I did take photographs of the interior. I'll forward those. I'll give those to Alicia. I did take photos, so.
Okay, yeah, Ken?
Yeah, I would be very hesitant to spend much time on anything that's got a 21E problem or needs to start with an environmental issue.
Right,
I think we have enough complications in any development that we do or try to fund or try to be involved with. Environmental is pretty hard to overcome for a group like this. But I had one other suggestion on the list that you're showing us, and I appreciate the work. The list, it tells you on the right, you know, it's undevelopable residential land in a lot of cases. And, you know, I've talked to Tom Hogan about, you know, some of this and how they come up with that. In a lot of cases, this is just going to be something that's been left over from another project.
mhm,
And in all probability, it's just what it says. It's undevelopable residential land. It doesn't have a lot size that's right, or frontage, a way to get to it. So it tends to just hang there, you know, people just leave it. But it may not be the appropriate thing to have on your list, is what I'm getting at.
well, that's why, yeah.
I guess that's one of the reasons that the owners probably just stop paying the taxes, because really it doesn't have much value if you can't develop anything there, does it?
No, it doesn't. And, you know, for it to get that title, the Board of Assessors and the assessor and the Board of Assessors use a, you know, a category of their assessment that labels it that. So they pretty much looked at it already and decided, you know, it doesn't even rank in a spot that could land a house on it, or some kind of building on it, I should say.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
what do they do with that kind of property? They just leave it there for years or what?
Yeah, but in some cases, it can be connected to something else.
Okay,
You know, potentially a person could expand a lot or buy the adjoining lot, you know,
Oh, okay.
make something out of it. So there tends to be, there are cases where it definitely has value. Or, you know, you need to spend some money to put a road in next to it, or maybe, you know, something could happen, but the way it stands, it would need some kind of engineering and construction to, you know, get it to where it could work. But I just think maybe you would make your list a little shorter, Janet, by taking those things off. Just take it.
mhm,
This is suggested. That's all.
no problem. And the only reason why I've left some of those on here is, again, the multiple hats. These might be nice locations for a pocket park, you know, to bring, you know, some sort of community garden or whatever, so that CPC could go ahead and look at it, like say on the.
Using it for CPC as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, just because, again, it's a plot of land that you can't really do anything with, but if you can go ahead in Pingree Way, or, I'm trying to think of one of the other ones over on, off of Littleton Road, you know, if they can make like a community garden there or something, then at least it can bring the community together, because they already have a community type stuff, you know? So with that, that's why the reason why I left some of them. So if we look at the ones that are just.
I just want to go over one thing first.
Sure.
So I'll take back what I just said when this is curious, actually, 43 West Main Street, 3.5 acres, Steve Slasky. So we know Steve, and, you know, people know who he is, and be interesting to see what the heck that 3.5 acres is, I guess.
Oh, Alan's saying it's wetlands.
It's Nonacoicus Brook, it's the whole brook like that off West Main Street.
Right, that's on the
Is that
opposite
the-
side. Yeah,
Is that
the
the,
opposite.
it's kind of in the back behind everything else or whatever? Or-
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. Down where Dave lives, or somewhere near that,
Yes.
Can
And
you
there was,
hear?
I think there was an old road there connecting back to where the DPW was and St. Mary's Cemetery from West Main Street.
okay,
All sorts of funky things back there historically, the land.
Good place to go take a walk, Ken.
yeah, there's actually a little bridge in there that's been closed. It was what, the
That's
washed
right.
out, the famous washed out culvert. Is that the area someplace down there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, well, that doesn't help us then, but,
Mhm. And then the other one too that I found amazing was, oh, let's see, I'm trying to think. One of them happens to be Fletcher's Pond, I believe, right
Yeah.
on the pond itself. And it's like, how can that happen? I think it's Robert Hadley who ends up owning some of it. And it's like, it's the water.
yeah,
So, again, so if we highlight just the ones that are highlighted, and if we're looking at, some of these 2-family residentials and whatever, one of the things that with, letting people know that CPC funds can be used to help renovate houses to make them affordable. So if it's a 2-family residential, we can go ahead and use some CPC funds to make one of those apartments, again, renovate it, become affordable. This is on top of the CDBG grants that Alicia's and Alan's office has. So with that, again, it has to go by the CPC guidelines, which means there is a deed restriction, and usually those are done in perpetuity. So the owner itself knows that that's that restriction that has to happen. I've had one individual, Ruth Maxon Schultz, come up to me and ask me for, to see whether or not I can do more research on some of her West Main Street property, which is located behind where that little car dealer is. And I'm trying to think Utopia Spa and such. She owns a few properties there that do have historical value within the town. So she has asked, but I know Alicia, she's also put in for a CDBG grant, correct?
Yeah, and I looked at that yesterday, and so I think that before we start talking about doing this, we probably need to write guidelines and for it before we start telling people we'll do this, because it's kind of like we need to develop the program, make sure it's going to comply with CPC, make sure it's going to comply with the state laws. And most of these are not in perpetuity. They're till your mortgage runs out with them. So if you give them a 15-year mortgage, if you give them, so we always mortgage the property when we put money into them. And if they sell the property beforehand, and the deed writers are for a period of time. And that's the other thing. I was thinking about this yesterday. I should pull up some program guidelines as my CDBG program guidelines, but also I need to reach out to the state and see what program guidelines they have for making LAUs, which is local action units, or an LIP, which is a LIP, local initiative project. And those are the deed writer projects out there. And so probably what we need to do is, and we're kind of jumping into that next category on our agenda, the housing rehabilitation and the LIP. Is put documents together and get them out to you guys so we can start reviewing what kind of program we could put together on this.
I think that would be good because again, I know CPC does not want 15-year. Okay, CPC does look for at least 99 years or in perpetuity. So with that, that's one thing like you're talking about with the mortgage and such until the mortgage runs out. That's for the CDBG grant, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't say, I'm using the word grant twice. So with that, it's going to have like, again, I need to go ahead and work with the CPA funds and find out exactly what the guidelines will be with that too as well.
And the other one with Ruth's is that she has 7 units there. And we usually only do projects under 7 units, because once you hit 7 units as a town, you trigger prevailing wage in Massachusetts.
All right.
So that makes it a lot more expensive.
And when somebody goes ahead and applies for these types of grants, do they have to supply also to, the work that needs to be done, the estimate costs, of going ahead and getting, some sort of proposals and such? Or do you do that?
No, I do that with grant money. So that's the other thing is that's why we have to kind of look at how we do it. So in my grant, I have money for rehab specialists who go and do according to the state laws on rehabbing and lead paint and all that. So I have inspections by lead paint inspectors. I have my rehab goes out and inspect it. And then when we get the work done, so it usually costs me $2,400 for my rehab specialist for every project. And that's for every unit. So if it's a 5 unit, he gets paid. Now he actually gives me a break and he goes down to 2,000 per unit, but he's doing all sorts of inspections. The lead paint is by unit also. So you could spend a lot of money on the inspectors, but that's making sure we're getting the work we're asking for.
Mhm.
And that it's all to state code, because I can't do that, so.
No, I understand that. And that's why I didn't know whether or not the homeowner does it. But again, they could go ahead and find whoever they, would like to do as a family member or something. I know that Ruth did say that there was lead paint inside her units. So,
Yep.
so with that, again, it's more of opening up our opportunities to find other, items that, we might be able to create any type of affordable housing. So what I'll do is, I can, have us just look at those that are actual properties and such and remove all the undevelopable ones. And is there anything, James, Ken, how do you see us moving forward as well?
I'm scrolling with Mr. Mapper as you guys are talking here, looking at these lots on the assessor's website. Just
Mhm.
out of curi- I was just curious about, and I don't know how to ask this question. I think outside of this particular discussion, it would be interesting to talk to the Maxents about the property on Brook Street, which we all know is, I think, something that people are interested in, but I don't know how to, I don't really want to talk about it in public.
Okay.
So,
And Alicia, have we heard anything about some of the, the town looking at properties for the Council of Aging again? Has there been any discussion?
well, actually Ken sits on that committee and
Oh,
they're looking at lots of properties. They're looking at properties that the town owns. They're looking at properties. They even looked at properties in Devon's, which, I think needs to be a conversation out there with the community and see how they feel about where their senior center is going to land. Do you have anything on that, Ken?
Not right now. I'm waiting for a phone call actually at the moment, but I missed the last meeting because I had a conflict. I was in another meeting, another town meeting at exactly the same time. So the long and the short of it is that they're still looking at a group, I want to say a handful of maybe 3 or 4 pieces of land that have been talked about in the past, and trying to reach out to Devon's and see if there's some cooperation there between the town and Devon's as well to see what's available there. But in a number of these discussions, another piece of land that comes up, and Alan may know more about this, but is there anything that anyone is aware of about the Schultz property that, and I believe that's might be the Schwartz, the people that have the property along the railroad tracks on Central? There's a lot of property out there. The former location of the junkyard, I'll call it, but has anyone ever talked to them about releasing some of that land?
No. Where is it again?
The big property right on Central, or what is it? Is it Central or is it Sandy Pond at that point? I think
It's sort of on both.
Central.
It sort of fronts on both.
And they have a lot of land there, which is nothing really has been going on. They broke off a few lots and put, someone bought the land and put 3 houses up, but there's another large piece of property there with, the junkyard on it.
Instead of railroad track and a junkyard.
So
I don't
I'm
know if
gonna
anyone's ever talked to
redirect,
them,
I'm sorry.
but that's a location for potential stuff, it's just sitting there, but I'm not, what their plans are, I have no idea. And again, it's probably confidential, so.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
So Janet?
Yes,
It's interesting that you bring up the 99 years, because when we're working with homeowners, they're not nonprofits, they're homeowners. And so often they don't want to tie up their property. I even have them not wanting to tie up their property with a deed writer for 15 to 20 years, But one of the things that a number of communities have done is they've been able to identify a piece of land, either the town owns or they purchase and things like that. And then they put it out for an RFP to a nonprofit to build just affordable, to build and manage just affordable. And that gets us past the whole prevailing wage. It gets us past all sorts of requirements and what the town does. So possibly, other than us doing the rehabbing, the other thing we can do is identify a project that has enough units that we could encourage a nonprofit to come in and develop it for us.
okay,
So that's another, if we identify a piece of land, we can even choose to purchase the piece of land with this concept in mind. Then we write the RFP and identify exactly what we want, because the RFP is very specific. We want X amount of units, 50 to 70 or something like that, or even 20 to 30 units. And they have to be nonprofit, and they have to be this, and they have to be affordable, and all that kind of stuff. And you'll get somebody to pick up that RFP and come and do it for you.
all right.
I just have a question for knowledge. The piece of property down near the bottom was 85 Littleton Road. And they say a value of $454,000. What is that? Is that an old house, a new house? Oh, it says single family. What's the deal on that?
The
I can have that.
Amanda Way.
Yeah, it's safe 85 Littleton Road.
mm,
It's there you go. It's what's you see that was that $454,000 value
Oh.
there?
There.
What will be the deal on something? Is that a house? It can't be that old if it's that price, single family.
I don't know. Let's see. Hold on.
It's definitely a house.
It's gotta be, but I'm trying to think. What does it look like?
I can open the other thing in the back when I close it, because we were moving on, but
Yeah, the value, the total value, who determined that, and when was that determined? When they first purchased it, or what?
give me a second, I'll open it up.
Yeah, I see 85 Littleton Road is just being the woods. Is that over by where Blue Northern is?
Bedroom, 3-bathroom house.
It's listed as a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, Alan says.
Lot 6.
Lot 6.
Lot 6.
What, do you have an age? How old is it, Ken?
Hold on.
It's being built. It's one of the ones that was just built.
Oh,
The home sold for $480,000 in December 2018.
Oh,
one of the-
okay.
Yeah, I hope once. Sounds
but
like.
they
one of the-
haven't paid the taxes clearly.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm just curious, with that kind of value, I know it shouldn't have been that old for a single family home.
It's one of the
that's-
houses, there was one of the houses built by Dan Aho a few years ago, right on Route 2A.
Right, the ones up on top of that little hillside.
No, they're actually low to the road. They're on the
Okay.
south side of the road going towards Littleton.
Was this the existing house there? There was one existing
No,
house there.
It's a brand new house.
All of this.
In that group of 8 houses he built on the right-hand side going out of town, on the south side.
Oh,
going out
okay.
of town. Just beyond the place with Madigan's place, where all just beyond
okay.
Madigan Trucking. on the right.
Okay.
Former Madigan land, actually, I think. Yeah. That's just he's working out something, I guess, that gentleman.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No, I'm just curious. I was wondering why that kind of valuable house would be sitting there. So you
No.
probably just got, but trying to decide what they're gonna do, I guess.
Mhm.
Working on something.
Yeah, probably. All right, so if we do a little more research on those that are highlighted and see if there is something that, again, Barbara's saying that they really haven't done anything of, per town of taking properties due to taxes. I can go ahead and follow up with her to see if there's anything new that she can bring, because it's been what, almost good 4 or 5 months since I've spoken with her, and see if there's anything. And with that, I can bring that to the committee next time
Okay.
around. And Ken and James, if you wanna, and I mean, I'll ask Ron, to look at some of these other, like I said, just the ones that are highlighted properties. And again, I remember driving by this 85 Littleton Road now, and I think there's a for sale sign there. So Alan's right, that it's up there on the market. So,
I just looked at one here on the assessors, GIS system. And I'll go back to it for just a second here. That's 138 Central. In that little
Okay.
group there, you see this, he's got a little group of lots together.
correct.
So I'm not sure what's going on there, but that little group of lots represents a pretty good piece of land right there together. They're grouped together.
Correct.
24.5 plus 0.84.
Right.
So I
Mhm.
don't know if you guys know where it is. I think you know where it is.
Oh,
It's right directly next to the pump station that's on, it's across from the Schwartz property that I'm talking about, actually.
Yeah, you're right.
So, we don't know what these folks have and they're negotiating with the town or whatever they're doing. It's their own personal
Mhm.
situation. But I didn't know if I was wondering if Alan ever talked to the Schwartz folks about any economic development there. That's the way I'd phrase the question.
And I have not, I haven't, Ken, in that case, no.
and
Okay,
this is owned by Hadley.
right, but the big parcel where the former, the junkyard is located is a really big parcel in there.
Okay.
And like you're saying, they just built those 3 houses on that, split that's there. So,
So would there be any reason to take a look and see what kind of taxes are owed on any of these? Because sometimes it's just a small amount and it's not something that they'll do for a tax taking. And
Mhm.
have you looked at that?
oh, that's on the list that Barbara had given us, and I just didn't put it on this. I focused in more of
Yeah.
properties themselves and what type of land it was or what type of parcel. So yeah, I can go ahead and put that on there. And again, I'll follow up with Barbara as well. All right. I'm gonna close this up unless there's anything else.
No. I feel uncomfortable talking about this tax parcel stuff, to be honest with you.
I understand that. I know. That's why, it was more of, I know one good thing is like this is public information where it is published in the newspaper that there are
Yep.
back taxes owned. So that's why, part of me is like, okay, and that's why I want to make sure I emphasize with regards to stuff that is in estates and whatever. I know that it takes a while, a lot of times to get that dust settled. So, but let me follow up with Barbara, all right, and I can check a little bit more about the Central Ave properties as well as Alicia, if you want to see if there's any type of conversation with regards to, anything going on with that Schwartz property, and I'll ask Ron as well. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I know the property, like you said, over on Central is right by junkyard was there, so probably a lot of contamination in there, probably that will require a lot of effort to clean up.
Mm-hmm. Would have the same issue with the 21E. Yep. Agree. All right, is there anything else people want to bring up with regards to that? All right, then I'm going to move on. I know we started talking about the housing rehab and LIP units. Again, this is something that we can definitely keep our eyes open for as being opportunities for additional housing. From what I understand, Alicia, have you heard anything more with regards to the Air Motor Inn? I believe it was up for sale.
That's a Ron question, because that's actually something that's going, it is not sold. It
Okay.
is under contract.
Okay.
So it's sold, but it's just under contract.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hasn't closed.
It hasn't closed.
Mm-hmm. So things can still happen.
There was one that closed though on, that we understand on Washington Street that we all had input to through CPC and the planning board and everything else. The fire station.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
And that one, I heard, actually, they're talking about, what did we say, 4 business offices downstairs and 2 apartments upstairs.
That's what I heard too.
So
Yeah. So, all right, anything else, Alicia, about some of the other rehabs that are being done that you can discuss, or?
So I only had money for an emergency, which was a roof. What I'm going to do is pull together documentation on what we would need to do for rehabbing, and I think it's a funny crossover. I do need to get information from DHCD and report back to you on what they're doing on rehab units with deed writers. For years, we did rehab units and we put a deed writer on apartments, units, that rental units, for 15 years. And then they stopped taking them. And that's why we got so close to our 10%. And then about 8 years, they stopped taking them. I'm being told now that they are taking them. I haven't done any multifamilies recently. But I need to sit down I need to get in touch with DHCD and see what would have to happen for them to accept them on our,
Inventory?
our SHI list. And then we need to talk to CPC and say, what are your requirements for affordable units? Are you okay? Because it's independent individuals. It's not nonprofits.
Mm-hmm.
And so for many people, their house, a lot of the rehab I do is owner occupied multifamilies. And though there are times, I've got some people on my list that are investors. With investors, we never pay 100% of the, so those are the kinds of things that we would talk if we were creating a different kind of rehab program where we're working with investors, and if they were willing to put a deed writer on for X amount of years, what would they be willing to do? Most of the times when I work with investors, they put up 50% of the rehab.
Okay. Sort of makes sense because they are investors.
Yes, yes. But, and so basically we put up the other 50%, and then they agree to put a deed writer on it for 15 years. And as long as they don't sell it. And then, so it's a complicated program, and I still need to update what they're willing to take on to the SHI list, our affordable numbers,
Mm-hmm.
big A numbers, what we need to do to create those as big A.
Okay,
So I can report back next month on that.
right. That sounds good. All right. All right, I'm just going to move on with the agenda. If there's nothing else with regards to rehabbing, then the other item is updates with regards to Air Commons. Alicia, I know that the town heard back from the builder.
So we are meeting again next week with NOAA. There is a problem with the 40B. Not a gigantic problem, but possibly a problem that will cause things to stop. So according to 40Bs, you cannot overpay So the state has said it's a fundable project. They've given a PEL letter, project eligibility letter. But with the project eligibility letter, you get a requirement for appraisal. And in the appraisal, the property came in as overvalued. The sale price of the property came in at too high. Just like when you go to the bank to get a mortgage on a house you're buying, you can't have the appraisal too high unless you're going to put that all up front, you know, on top of your down payment. So the property came up as 700,000 overpriced. Okay.
And that's
So-
because it's commercial, right? Zoned for commercial?
Yes, but I reached out to Ron and we talked to Charlie Schultz, and both Ron and Charlie Schultz says changing the zoning will not change the value of the property.
Okay.
Oh,
So we're having a meeting early next week with Noah again on this, and we're looking at ways. They came to us and said, oh, does the town want to come up with this 700,000? And so we're looking at ways at how to make this work.
Mhm.
Okay. But right now so the state requires that this is so that nobody can milk the state. You can't use state money to overpay for a real piece of real estate property for one of these projects. It's a check and balance.
Makes
So-
sense. It's, yeah, would have been nice if ARPA money could have been used, but yeah.
When they come back with that assessment, do they give you what they think is fair value for the property?
Yeah, I actually have a copy of the assessment, and I'm not gonna put it out there, but if somebody wants to come into the office and take a look at it, they're more than welcome.
All right, thank you.
So, and I would like to talk to Ron again, and Charlie went and looked at it through 5 different ways, and his feeling was the assessment was not off.
Mhm.
And he's felt that, you know, and I think sitting and talking to Charlie a little bit more about this too, and we'll have more information as we talk to Noah about other ways to do this. So,
All right. Thank you for, for the update, because
Yeah.
I know that you've been in touch with Noah, so. All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
yeah,
Of what might end up happening, and we can talk about it after your meeting with them and such. All right, anything else?
I don't have.
I know that I've been in touch with Shelley with regards to training sessions, and she just says anytime we're ready, she'll be able to do like a housing 101 for the housing committee as well as the housing trust. And with everything going on between March and April, I thought that it might be good to try to do something either April or May. And she just definitely, just whenever we're ready, she'll go ahead and see if it's on her calendar, give her a couple dates, and she'll be able to do it. And more than likely, it'll be done via Zoom. So with that, I think that works out well.
And
that would be great. That really would be good to get involved in that little information and our training, whatever it is, to get a better handle on what's going on.
Okay.
yeah, Janet,
Yeah.
I just got an email this morning from Chapa, who sends out a thing every month with a list with the training courses, just like you just talked about. So Chapa is offering same thing, Housing 101, Affordable Housing 101 session starting like right away for a number of weeks on it. Anyway, I don't know if you guys got the email, but I can forward it if you haven't got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that would be good to go ahead and forward. I know that I think it's the bulletin that has them. But yeah, I think that would be good. And then we'll go ahead and forward it on to all the other trust members too as well.
Okay, so I'll send it to you. Well, you've got it, Alicia? Did they send you those?
I got it too. Do you want me to just send out, just forward it in general to everybody on the trust and the committee?
Alicia, that would be great.
Okay,
On the committee and the trust, yes.
Thanks.
Because they do a really good job, those people.
Yeah, they do. So, all right, and Anything else for old business? All right, moving on to anything for new business. I really, we talked about the housing rehab, so that's what I had underneath in my brain for new business. But I really, how did the trust meeting go, Alicia? I was not able to make it. I've been working on some oral surgery, so, did they pass the application? Is the application going?
Yes, they did. They made a few little changes and they passed it with the changes. And thank you so much for all that help on that application. We should have reported that. They had a very good meeting. And something I probably should report to you guys is, we've had 7 inquiries on our affordable housing, rental assistance. I've gotten 3 applications so far. I thought I had gotten 4, but I've gotten 3 applications so far. We're doing the mailing, and we're trying, and Jake and I did a little TV spot,
That was great.
video, and we're trying to get the word out there, but this is something I was, when you get a new program, getting people to know about the program, we've got a number of inquiries coming in from, people in Devon's Crest, and the real issue there is they don't have a lease. And I'm reaching out to Brady Sullivan to see if they were willing to sign leases with people that they haven't already put eviction notices on. And I need to do that hopefully today. And so it's surprising. I've gotten a little bit of reach out just yesterday from a landlord. And that's who we're doing the mailing to, is landlords. For landlords that have people that are behind and everything. We'll see how this goes. I expect it. We got a real flurry at the beginning of applications. And the first people had them in within a week. And then all of a sudden it just dropped off. And so we'll see. And the most remarkable thing about all this is the cases are very complex. They either have medical issues with them, they have all sorts of different, or, custody issues, all sorts of issues, divorce issues. And so nothing is like static, like, oh, I just need this $500 to help me pay my rent. I'm finding that there's so many social issues around a lot of this that it makes it very fluid and a little hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's my experience, that's what helped keep low income persons struggling where they are, because they have so many issues and they themselves don't even have an idea where to start and what to do, but
Yes.
and once you start lagging behind, it just compounds itself and you get disappointed and disgusted, and it's a tough situation, and
Very tough.
sometimes when they can talk to an outsider, just sit down and have a discussion, that help them to kind of get refocused, because they're gonna have to get focused and kind of straighten out their affairs if they want to be able to get into anything.
But when people have health issues, it's hard sometimes to focus.
Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm not blaming them. No, I know with health issues, you stuck.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it just snowballs. Yeah. I know that the Housing Authority, Housing Authority is in a contract, I won't say the word negotiation, but it's sort of like negotiation with, and I don't know what Massachusetts' new name is. They've got a new name
yeah.
for, pardon?
Yeah, I'm blanking on it.
Yeah, I want to say central something or other. But there is going to be a type of caseworker that is being shared among different housing authorities within the area here. And I think they have, like, say, a $10,000 pocket for the town of Ayer for this one individual to be able to help out. And I believe it's only for people who are in the housing authority units, but I can see whether or not, there's anything that they might be able to assist with. The other thing too is, Alicia, the town was looking at the possibility of hiring somebody to,
It's on the budget.
it's on the budget?
It will
Excellent,
be presented at the town meeting for the town to hire a social worker.
excellent. All right.
Nice.
And so when I look at our program, all of a sudden I'm faced with, oh my goodness, we might not have 5 people right away. I'm hoping we have 5 people. That's why I'm doing this really big outreach right now. And I'm asking everybody, whether it's at church or anything like that, if you know of families that might need this right now, just mention it to them. I have postcards, I have flyers. I can send out a copy of the flyer to everyone, or you can pick up packets or flyers or anything like that in my office. But because I know you guys are all got churches and social organizations that you're involved with, and if you know of anybody that might need this, think about it a little bit and reach out. I'm going to be reaching out to some landlords I know of too, but it might end up being something that as the people come forward, this is a program that we can offer to them we put it in the guidelines that it becomes a rolling program. It's not just at one point that we give out the grants. So we'll just see how it works out, and we'll review that at the next meeting. And the trust set up their next meeting for March 9th. I actually need to check in with Carly. That was just yesterday. I was supposed to check in with her. I'm wondering, and they're going to be reviewing applications at that point. So they're doing their own meeting, but I think after this March meeting and their CPC application, we should probably plan on a joint meeting, don't you think, after we get that going?
I think so. The CPC meeting to go ahead and review it would take place, I believe it's March 2nd. Yeah, March 2nd.
Yes, it is March 2nd.
All right, so that's when I have to make sure that I'll get in touch with Jake and Colleen so that the application is sent to the committee prior to that, so they can review it. So they'll be reviewing, like I say, the application on the 2nd. March 30th will be the public hearing, should it move on to a public hearing. And that's, like I say, that would be the next step. So sometime in between that might be good to have a joint meeting so that we can see on how things have progressed. I'll stop by and pick up a couple of the flyers and such because I have a meeting with the police chief today, Chief Gill. So I can make sure he's aware of it, that we might be able to put something out for some of the social workers that come in with DCF and such. So.
Yeah, and you might even know of households that you get calls from and things like that too, so.
I'll talk to the chief about it.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so I'll stop by. How late you gonna be there, Alicia?
Till 2.
Okay, all right, so I'll stop by before I head over to the police station.
Thank you.
Yep, and I think that works out good. Let's see. Yeah, and like I said, I'll get in touch with Jake to make sure that the applications get sent for CPC on the 2nd. Ken, is there any movement for any type of properties that might be able to be using that in lieu of funds for that inclusionary housing bylaw?
It was funny, I was gonna talk about that and also the fact that it's gonna be 2 years, I think, if I'm not incorrect, that we passed the accessory apartment zoning change as well, and nothing has happened with that. So unfortunately, the 2 of the primary zoning changes that have happened have not really brought in the hoped for, units. So the answer to your question is no, there's nothing right now. In fact, we don't have any pending residential projects right now that are in front of us.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, the Stratton Hill slowed down, and I don't know if you heard that we requested that they withdraw without prejudice because they were not moving forward, and they did that. So they'll
Okay.
come back if they have revised drawings, and that's really one of the focuses that we were working on.
Okay. All
Go
right.
ahead, Alicia.
So that reminded me of something I reported to the trust, and I need to report to you too. So when we were talking about the word development on whether Devon's Crest would qualify as inclusionary zoning, Alan, Mark, and I sat down and really did a deep dive on that. And the first takeaway there is every one of the Devon's Crest properties that went from Tossie to Brady Sullivan, each building is on its own lot and has its own separate deed. So they're not a big complex. They bought all separate deeds. So that changes it. Because it's not like they bought 100 units. They bought, I don't know how many units, housing units it is. It's probably about 30 or 40. Now, we went back, and Ken, I want you to go back and read this inclusionary zoning, because when I went back and read it, it looks to me like it says development, extreme development from fire, when it's destruction from fire or other destructive aspects. And it's after you take, if they're developing any more units than what was originally there. So if they're changing the density from what was originally there. Because it's grandfathering in all the units that were originally there. But that's how I read it. And the other problem is that the units, there's a couple buildings there that might have 6 units in there.
Mhm. Yep.
But the next question is, as I understood it, the grandfathered units are the units that were originally there, and if they're adding units, that's why we talked about East Main Street, because they were adding units.
I think there was 2 parts of the thought, and I agree with you. It's a real stretch. Okay, number one, I knew it was a stretch from the beginning, but not knowing the total plan of what they were going to do, I was hopeful, and I'm still hopeful, that if they were to renovate the 6 units or whatever the buildings were that had more than 5,
Mhm.
and not knowing at the beginning when I first started thinking about it, whether they were going to consolidate lots and do something different.
Oh,
It was more of a thought that here's a new developer coming to town. How do we open a conversation that the town is very tuned into having more affordable housing, and to take that next step, and, just informing them of the importance of that, since they have disrupted that community so much.
mhm.
And then, try to take it from there. So I guess I'm still in a wait and see on what the development looks like. And that would be my only position that I have on it. But I thought it was worthwhile just taking a look at it. So thanks for looking into it.
Yes, and the question is, possibly I need to sit down, or any of us need to sit down with Charlie and just see what kind of, permits he's getting requests for.
Yeah, well, I've been doing that right along. And I think we reported already that there's been only electrical, mechanical, and plumbing permits pulled so far, like 30 permits that we know about. So the repair permits, in essence, and not new construction.
Yeah,
And, it's a difficult stretch, but
Hey, you got to try.
well, it gets more difficult because each property is on it, each building is on its own deed.
correct. Yep.
So you're talking about individual properties, you're not talking about them as a grouping.
Correct. I agree. So my thought at the beginning, as I said, I wasn't sure if they were going to consolidate and do something different. If they still do that with a part of it, I'm hopeful that there'll be an inclusionary zoning aspect to that.
Mhm. Okay,
All right. Well, thank you, Ken and Alicia. That's good to know. Again, if you don't ask, it's definitely going to be a no. So,
Well, the good thing about this discussion is that it's been brought now to, Alicia, Alan, Mark, and Charlie. So it's at the right spot now in town hall. So if nothing else was accomplished, it's the fact that we've got it in front of the professionals. So when and if the development comes forward or changes come forward, the professionals are fully capable of, making the right decision. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Again, the more we can get it in people's eyes, the better off we are. I know I've got to follow up with Jeff, like I say, with regards to keeping our eyes open for open land that's available and such, and bringing it to other committees and other departments so that they know that, anything that they hear, pass it on so that we can go ahead and use it. So same thing with this inclusionary housing, again, if there's an opportunity, those in the know, hopefully they remember it in the back of their mind saying, oh yeah, we got to go ahead and work with this. So.
Can I ask, sorry, Janet, can I ask Alicia one follow-up to the
Sure.
comments question? In the discussion with Noah and the obstacle that you're trying to overcome, does Noah have any history that they have overcome that before with another city or town?
So the head lead agent in NOAA changed right as they were putting the application into the state. So was it Scott Shaw? Yeah, it was Scott Shaw that was the person who did all the initial work here. And the people that we're talking to, so a lot of conversations happened with Scott Shaw, then he left and went to another organization, reached out to us and said, hey, we'd like to do affordable in your town. He's with another nonprofit. And that's why I keep saying, if we can find a piece of land, he did a lot of work around Ayer and he was very interested in working in Ayer. And now we're working with a different group and we're a little unclear of what they're asking us to do for them to fix this. So that's part of, we're getting our questions put together. We sat with our consultant yesterday and came up with a little bit of brainstorming. We're doing some brainstorming that I'm not really ready to talk about because we'd love to see this project go forward, but that appraisal is really a problem. And Charlie said, why aren't they going back and talking to the landowners?
I was going to ask that question. I was going to ask two questions. That was going to be one of them. The second one was going to be, in light of the fact that the Governor Baker, as you well are aware of, is so involved with the need for affordable housing. This would be a perfect example of, I think, where they'd have to take a back seat to the appraisal and look practically on the project and say, wait a minute, maybe we can come to a compromise here. We have a certain standard, but the standard may be because of the need for affordable housing that outweighs the appraisal aspect of the project. And maybe we can come to some kind of conclusion that, yeah, we'll meet you halfway or something like that and get other aspects of state government involved in the importance of the affordable housing and overcome the appraisal problem.
The problem with that is, unfortunately, and you've run into this with HUD and the federal government all the time, these projects, 40B is legislation. And
Yes.
in the legislation, it says point blank, you can't overpay for property with state money. So you have to go find somebody that's not state money to overpay, or you need to get the owner to come down or something like that. So
All right.
that's a little bit of a catch-22.
I know it's important because there's been projects that failed because they, not the beginning part, but they overpaid for construction, or they overpaid for brokerage fees, or they overpaid something. So there's a process that's very important. I agree with that.
And government money is one of those things that often gets siphoned off for the wrong reasons. So it's a real important check.
Yep.
That it's not your buddy who owns the piece of land and you're giving them a little extra, $500,000 or something.
I got it. Thank you.
All right. Okay, anything else that people have for new business? I know one thing that I do want to make the team aware. Again, the town voted in for she was a consultant to help the Community Preservation Committee develop their 5-year community preservation plan. And with that, they're going to be holding focus group Zoom meetings. And the one for housing is going to take place March 7th at 5:30 to 6:45. There'll be like a sign up email sent out by yours truly that will go ahead and see whether or not you'd be able to attend. If you're able to attend, you'll get a little survey to fill out beforehand of questions that they would like to get answered, as well as if you can't, they still would like you to fill out the survey so they do get feedback. Once they get a feedback, then there's going to be even a larger public hearing, and there will be also a public survey from SurveyMonkey sent out with regards to, the community preservation funds and such. So again, for community housing, it's going to be March 7th, 5:30 to 6:45. I'll be sending it out, the invite to the committee and trust members, as well as the you, Alicia, and Alan, and as well as the Housing Authority members. So,
Thank you.
okay. Want to make sure you were aware of that for being new business. And other than that, I don't have anything else for new business. Does anybody else? We're just looking for the possibility of our next meeting, which hopefully can be a joint meeting. You said that March 9th is when the trust is going to be meeting
Mhm.
to go ahead and review some of the applications, and probably would want to meet after that so with that, the week of the 14th, how are people?
A number of people couldn't do it on the 16th, I know, so it would be later in the month.
Okay.
Unless you want to have, if you want a joint meeting.
No, I think it would be good to have a joint meeting so both can, get an update. Do you think you'd have some other information with regards to the DHCD and the deed writers projects and such? And I don't know, I'll try my best to get some information from Barbara, but March is going to be a pretty busy month for meetings. So my gut feeling is let's just do a joint one. And do we want to try to do it on the 23rd? They couldn't make the 16th?
So that'll be a second meeting for the trust, which is okay. So let me throw something out for them. What I think we might want to be doing is, I don't know if I'm going to have that much on the rehab program because we'll be evaluating all the applications and things like that. But what we will have is updates on Air Commons. So that would be a good thing to be talking to you guys about, the Air Commons, because there's a question about who goes to CPC for the money, whether the trust goes to the CPC for the money or Air Commons goes to the CPC for money, because they are looking for a letter of commitment from the town and for some funds. And it just can't necessarily, and that probably won't happen until fall town meetings. That won't happen until fall town meeting. So there'll be updates on that sort of thing. And that let's aim for the 23rd if you guys can do it.
It's open for me. James, Ken?
Yes,
It
yes,
just,
Okay.
I'd say I can make almost any schedule, so just fill it out and I'll figure out a way.
Okay. And it looks like 6 o'clock is a good time for everybody?
yes, I think it is 6 p.m., March 23rd.
Okay.
That's a Wednesday, isn't it?
It's a Wednesday, correct, Ken?
I'm going to send out an email to both parties, both you guys and the trust. I'll have heard from you three that it's okay. So you don't have to respond to that, but I will put you on the email.
Right, and yeah, and then we'll find out if it's okay for Ron as well.
Yeah, I'll put you on the email and see if it works for everybody, and I'll check with Carly and see if it's open.
Okay, excellent. All right, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
All right, and I think all in favor, aye.
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 All right. Everybody, thank you so much.